Hi, Mr. Moultine's class. My name is Larry Saperstein. I am a child actor, performer, director. I'm 16 years old, and I am really looking forward to answering your questions. So let's get right to it, yeah? Has anyone ever fallen off the stage during a performance? Have I ever done this? I can honestly say that I have never seen anyone fall off the stage during a real performance. And I have never fallen off the stage. Except I had one play where my job was to jump off the stage. So if you want to count that, my job was to jump off the stage into the audience and land on the floor right in the aisle. And I got some crazy looks from that, but it was definitely fun. Um, yeah. Although, if you want to consider this, when I was in middle school, there was a magician who came and he fell off the stage, and then he ripped his pants. And all the teachers ran to help him, and then all the kids rolled their eyes because he had ripped pants. I can hear you laughing right now. Yeah, yeah. Oh, have I ever been in Sweeney Todd or Phantom of the Opera? I have never been in Sweeney Todd or Phantom of the Opera. I've never even seen Sweeney Todd, and I really regret that, but I should definitely see Sweeney Todd. Phantom of the Opera is still on Broadway, and I've never been on Broadway, and there are no kids in Phantom of the Opera, so if I want to be in Phantom of the Opera, I have to wait till I get older. I do have two friends, though, that are on Phantom of the Opera. One is the stage manager, and the other just recently joined the cast on January 31st as Meg. And yeah, so I've seen it. I have definitely seen Phantom of the Opera. It's one of my favorite musicals ever. Never seen Sweeney Todd. I've never been in Sweeney Todd. Never been in either of them. Of all the shows I have been in, which is my favorite? I was in Beauty and the Beast, and I got to play Lumiere, and that was probably my favorite because I had a big part. I loved the character of Lumiere. I loved uh, dancing. I loved the challenge of having. I had big flames, big kind of apparatuses that had a button inside that when I hit the button, the flame would go off, and that was really fun. That was a challenge because I had to learn how to maneuver them and learn how to dance with them. I had to shift my weight in order to do that, but that was great. That was awesome. Um, yeah, and the character is fun. Have I ever done a flip in a play before? I have never done a flip in my life. Um, I don't. The closest thing I've ever come to doing a flip was the upside down roller coaster that I went on one time because there are no upside down roller coasters on Long Island, and so I had to wait till I went to North Carolina to go on an upside down roller coaster. Uh, so I think that's probably the closest thing I've ever done to a real flip. Although although I did a dancing show when I was younger, and I totally forgot about that until just now. I did a dancing show when I was younger, and part of the thing was that the girls, two of the older girls, I was probably in fifth grade, and the girls were seniors in high school, and their job was to pick me up and flip me over. So I totally forgot about that, but it wasn't a flip that I did. It was like they pushed me over. So I don't know if you want to consider that, but yeah, that's the only time I've ever done it. It wasn't a play, it was a dance performance. And I forgot about that, so thank you for reminding me with your question. Have I ever forgotten my lines before? No. Um, I've forgotten my lines during rehearsal, but once I'm in performance mode, I really don't ever forget anything. It by then I practice enough. I make sure that I practice enough, and I make sure that I do enough preparation so that once I am in performance and once there's an audience, I am spot on all the time. And I think that's one of the main jobs of an actor. A lot of it is figuring out what to do the first time, figuring out how to play your character, but then the other job is making sure that it's consistent and making sure that every time you perform and every time you're playing that character, you're doing it the same way. It wouldn't be fair if one night I played Lumiere with an English accent, and one night I played him with a French accent, then the audiences would not be getting the same performance, and that's not fair to them, especially when they pay money. So it's important for actors to be on point and perfect, I guess, all the time. So yeah, that's what I strive for. How many plays have I been in? I have been in 18, I think 18 plays in my lifetime in 15 years. I've done a lot of shows 2 times, where I played like different parts. Like I played it one time, like Beauty and the Beast. I played it one time with adults, and I played Chip. And then a few years later, I played it with in high school, and I played Lumiere. So I've been in a lot of shows more than once, but I think it's 18 altogether. Has the show ever been messed up by a prop falling? Well, sure, props do fall, but when they fall, it's not really, the show doesn't really mess up. You just kind of pick up the prop and move on. I've seen it even in Broadway shows where the hat will fall off, and especially if it's during a dance or something, the dancer's job is to keep dancing, and then when the performance is done, that's when you pick up your hat or whatever you dropped. Um, so yes, I've seen props fall, but the performance doesn't get messed up. It's just something that happens, and you have to move on from it, really. Do I play any instruments? If so, what instruments do I play? Well, I would consider myself playing 2 instruments. The first thing is I play the string bass. I played it in school. I'm in the school orchestra. I'm in the jazz band. I've played that since 4th grade. And the second would be my singing. I consider singing an instrument because I think that you need to practice just as much as you would any other instrument, and it requires just as much, if not more, preparation. So I would consider myself playing 2 instruments. One is the bass, and the other is voice. What kind of dancing do I do? The first thing I would say, right now, I'm primarily a tap dancer. And that's because I'm in a youth tap ensemble in New York City. And we rehearse for 5 hours every Sunday. And that's great. So I'd say primarily I'm a tap dancer, but I pretty much do everything. I don't really do hip hop. I kind of look stupid doing hip hop, but jazz, definitely. Ballet is the foundation of all dance. It's the most important, and tap primarily. When did I start acting? I started acting. I the first time I was on stage, I was 3 years old, and my job was to run on stage and jump into my father's arms. My father was in the show. So that was my job, and that was when I started acting. I was 3 years old. And then the next thing I did when I really started having lines and all that, I was in 2nd grade. And then I got really serious. I became a professional actor when I was in 5th grade. Because that's when I got my manager, and that's when I started going to the city for auditions and stuff like that. Did I enjoy making the goldfish commercial? Of course I enjoyed making the goldfish commercial. The goldfish commercial was probably the best experience I've ever had as an actor. Um, I loved being there. I loved being able to ask questions. The coolest thing about the goldfish commercial was that I sort of helped the creators of the commercial see their vision. Basically, at the final callback, they asked me if I could do any kind of laugh. And so, if you've seen the commercial, you know that I do a laugh in the commercial. So, of course, I was like, sure, I'll do a laugh. And once I did that giggle, I saw all of their faces light up. And it was cool to listen. I got to listen to them talking about what they wanted the commercial to be. And after I did that laugh, I thought that they were more clear on what they thought the commercial would look like. And I think that's ultimately the reason why I was hired, because I helped them and they really liked what I could bring to the commercial. So that was just a really humbling experience. It made me feel like I was, you know, a good actor with good ideas, and so yeah, and then just being there was awesome. There was a guy who was in Boardwalk Empire who was in the commercial. He plays the coach. The guy with the long blonde hair was in an MTV show and a couple of Cartoon Network movies. Um, and then there were also people that like that was their first time doing a commercial. Myself and the other girl who's annoyed by the kid with blonde hair. If you haven't seen the commercial, you should watch it, and then you'll understand all that. Um, but yeah, it was just a great experience meeting all those people, and yeah, and just seeing how everything was set up. I could go on for hours about how cool it was to see everyone set up. There were probably about 50 people there, 50 or more people there, just to make a commercial that had 7 people in it. So it was really 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 cool. So yeah, yeah. Who inspired me? Well, inspired me. I mean, I would say inspired me for what? If we're talking about who inspired me to start acting, um, I think I already mentioned that my parents are actors. My mother is a music teacher, and my father is was an actor ever since he was like in his 20s. He moved to New York City to be an actor. Um, and then my friend around the corner from me was a dancer when we were really, really little. And she started dancing, and I guess she was always talking about how much fun it was. So when my parents asked me if I wanted to do that, I said, yeah, I want to do it. And I was good at it. So that really started me on the dancing and acting route. Um, if we're talking about like who inspired me to make my parodies on YouTube or what inspires me as an actor, you could get inspired from anything. I'm in a European history class in school, and the one of the lessons that the teacher was talking about inspired me to write a short film about the French Revolution, which I'm still working on, and and I mean, I can look at pretty much anything and get inspired from that, and really, if I really analyze something and look at something, I could take any of that and turn that into to artwork. I can't guarantee that it's going to be good artwork, but yeah, anything can inspire you if you really choose to look at it in a different way. You know, if you're going out into the world looking at things like I want to make something, so I'm gonna look at everything like it's important. Um, that's when things click, because art is only art when it's important to the artist. So yeah, anything can be inspirational. Have I ever done a show that I didn't like? This is a great question because the answer is 100% absolutely. So I was in a show, I was in 8th grade. The name, I still can't pronounce the name of the show. It was called Chenstahova Musical Chairs. And it was about a Christian family and a Jewish family during the Holocaust. And the Jewish family gets taken by the Nazis, and the Christian family has to cope with the loss of their best friends. It was horribly written, and it was short. It was only like 45 minutes. It was horribly written. It was historically inaccurate, and it was just that like the names of the characters were not pronounceable, and it was just so bad. It was just so bad, and I hate saying that because the people that were in the show were truly wonderful people. Like some of the actors were really talented actors, but just the director and the playwright were just so bad. I was at this little theater in New York City that had a good reputation, but the owner of the theater died in 2005, and the person who took it over after the owner died really wasn't doing such a good job of keeping the theater, keeping it with a good reputation. So it was just not that great. But the people were wonderful. I loved going. I always loved going and rehearsing. Um, but the performances were not that great. Sorry. Have I been in more commercials than just the goldfish one? If so, which commercials? Yes, I was in one other commercial, and it was an American Express commercial with Carrie Brownstein. However, you can only see my arm in the commercial, but in the minute long cut of the commercial, you can see the back of my head. But it wasn't as big. And then I did a Skittles demo commercial, which was never on TV. It was just like people made it to kind of test out a script, and that was cool. I was like the head of that. There were 2 days of shooting for that one. That was cool. But the American Express one was okay. I'm not really in it. You can't really see me, but it does count. It was on television, so yeah. Why am I interested in acting? Well, that's a very tough question. I was brought up in it. I guess you could say that I really don't know anything else, and that could be a good thing, and that could be a bad thing. Um, I've never played a sport. I've never done anything of that nature. So I really it's the only thing I've ever done, acting and music and dance. Um, but on top of that, it just makes me feel good. I love when I'm in a show. I love when people come up to me and say, "You were wonderful. You really made my morning, my weekend, my afternoon." And it's great to hear that, especially shows like Christmas shows and stuff. Miracle on 34th Street, all those kids that are seeing a show about Santa, and it's uplifting, and it makes people happy. Um, so so yeah, I love being able to control the emotions of a crowd. Um, and I love that with just a little music and some lighting and a good actor, you can make anything happen. You can make anything believable. Nothing is nothing is impossible in theater. You know what I mean? In the show Wicked, there are two witches that do all these magic tricks throughout the show, and in normal life you wouldn't think that could happen, but because it's in a show, everyone believes it, and everyone is willing to believe it. And that's what an actor's job is. An actor's job is to make the audience believe that everything on the stage is 100% real. um, and that's what I love about it. There's so much you could do with it. It's so vast, and it's so you get so attached to it. No matter what you do, if you focus on it and you pay attention to it, you get attached to it, and it becomes life changing. Every show I've ever done has changed my life in one way or another, and that's a great thing, I think. So maybe we're leaving it on a little bit of a serious note, but that's really the truth, I think. So yeah, so thank you, Mr. Moultine's class. I loved your questions. Thank you for sending them to me. If you ever have any other questions about acting, or what it's like to be an actor, or singing, or dancing, or anything like that, send me questions. I will love to answer anything, and also check me out on YouTube and all that stuff. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.